Wait. What? Wait a minute. What did you just say? So this case will absolutely blow your mind. You will not believe it in this video. So today I'm sharing a story with you. It's about a patient that came to me a couple of months ago with classic IBS symptoms. But what we did is we used some clinical testing to kind of help us figure it out. And what we found out in this case, it will blow your mind. This case is such a good example of how IBS root cause can go in very different direction. So there are different root causes behind IBS, and this one is really special. So stick to the end of this video to find out. So I'm sharing my screen with you today. So as you can see, it's a case study, IBS case study. It's a woman and of age of 31. What I did was the first consultation, I of course asked what the symptoms are, and we kind of went through what the symptoms, classic symptoms like stomach pain, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. Then she had some chronic fatigue, brain fog, nausea, and also this woman really had some problems with asthma. Her asthma was actually pretty severe, and on top of that, she was always feeling sick. So she always had this flu-like symptoms, and she has low immunity. Well, she thinks she has low immunity, so she's been struggling with a lot of things that can relate to other parts of the body. And also she had this recurring UTIs. A lot of women have urinary tract infections, but sometimes it gets chronic, and sometimes it can be that there's some kind of underlying condition that creates this problem. Doesn't matter how much you treat it, it would always come back. In this case, she has been struggling for years with this. So we talk, and she mentions a lot of things about her tongue being white. Maybe it's candida, because when you have candida overgrowth, sometimes the tongue gets white on top, and that could be a sign that it's a fungal infection. So I'm thinking definitely we need to do some stool testing and find out whether she has a fungal infection. So classical symptoms of bloating, constipation, chronic fatigue, and a lot of these other issues that are related to IBS, but also on top of that, like asthma, low immunity, UTIs, and a white tongue. So furthermore, she tells me that she has earlier been tested for SIBO, and the SIBO test was positive. So this gives me a clue that she might test for a bacterial overgrowth. So I'm thinking, getting closer to this is a case of SIBO. But then she said to me that the recommended dietary modifications didn't work. So she was earlier seeing a nutritionist that had laid out some dietary options that she could use to treat her bacterial overgrowth, but none of it worked. So I was thinking, okay, so this can be a complex case. This is perhaps SIBO, perhaps it's something else on top of SIBO, but there's definitely something like wrong here. So, and then she said to me, I'm also a bit stressed out at work, and I'm thinking, all right, so it's a case of SIBO, and she's stressed out at work, and she tells me about sometimes it provokes kind of anxiety attacks, but it's not that often. It's just once in a while. So she also feels a little stressed, and I'm thinking, all right, so it could be some kind of cognitive function problem. And also it could be a deficiency, like a chronic deficiency of vitamin B12 or vitamin D. So I'm thinking a lot of different things here. And also because we need to kind of keep it simple, we can start with some clinical tests. Because if we have a lot of clinical tests, then it gets expensive. So we kind of need to think about what we are going to use here. So my thought was that this IBS case, we should definitely go further with a GI map stool test to kind of figure out the bacteria and what's going on with the bacteria and whether there is a case of candida overgrowth. And also I'm thinking like DNA health profile tests. So what we can do with a DNA test for health is that we can kind of get some clues how this person is constructed genetically. There's some good things and there's some bad things, and how we can work with this information. So sometimes we find out that a patient has a chronic problem with absorbing D vitamin. Sometimes it's vitamin B12, and it can be a lot of different issues. It can also be methylation process that it's not working properly, or it could be something else. So I'm thinking maybe we should test the genes and test the DNA to find out what we can do with the diet and what the best diet could be for this person to incorporate in this treatment plan. So this is what I'm thinking, and mostly because she mentions like things like asthma, low energy, low immunity. So I think a DNA test could be a great option here. So we go back and we discuss this, and an hour into the conversation, I'm like, all right, so we are doing a GI-MAP test and we are doing a DNA health test, and she agrees with me, and she's very positive about it, and looking forward to find out what could be behind this. And then I say, all right, I will send you the test, and I will send you the more information on email. And then she goes, by the way, I live in a moldy house. And I said, wait, what? Wait a minute, what did you just say? And she said, yeah, I live in a moldy house. And I was blown away, and I said to her, why didn't you tell me this earlier? She said, oh, I didn't think it would matter. So I'm going like, whoa, let's go back. And she said, yeah, I don't know whether that could be, an issue. Maybe just for your information, there's some mold in my house. And so she tells me that she has been living in this house with mold inside of it for several years. And now they have found out, her and her husband, that the roof is like totally rotten with mold. And she doesn't know what to do about it. But the thing that she knows is that her asthma has gone really bad. And also when she sleeps with her windows open, then the asthma actually is better the day after, like on the day that she has slept with a window open, the asthma is much better that day. But she lives in a cold country, so she cannot open the windows all the time. So she has to close the windows. And when she closes the windows, she always wakes up feeling low energy, nausea, and her asthma, of course, gets very bad. So I'm thinking, well, we need to kind of, rethink the choice of the clinical tests. So I'm thinking we are sticking to the GI map, but instead of the DNA health, we're doing a mycotox profile test to find out whether there is a mycotoxin situation here. So, and she, she says, all right, let's do that. I didn't even think that could be an issue, but let's do that. So I'm thinking, this is insane. I mean, this case keeps getting like really, really interesting. So a couple of weeks later, we get the test results, and here are the test results. So are you ready? So let's do the GI map because that's also interesting. She has, a lot of gut issues and IBS symptoms. So the first page of the GI map test, it kind of doesn't reveal anything. It's totally negative. As you can see, this is the pathogenic bacteria and some types of parasitic pathogens revealing really nothing. So it's not a case of a severe infection of any kind. So let's go to the next page. So the next page, she has a Helicobacter pylori overgrowth. All right, so that we can work with, Helicobacter is this bacteria that lives in the upper part of the digestive tract, and it makes a lot of trouble in the esophagus and the upper part of the stomach, where you can feel a lot of different symptoms. Sometimes you feel really bloated, other times it can be diarrhea and loose stool, and a lot of pain. And what it really does is, if the infection is severe, over time, it can get chronic and also lead to cancer. So it is important that you treat this. But it's not that severe. It's just it just became positive on this test. So that was a new information that we can use. And also, if we look at the commensal flora, it looks okay. I mean, some of it is high and some of it just a bit low. But in general, if we are looking at the end of this screen here, it's a little bit high, some of it, but really no problem there. The flora looks pretty nice. It should be inside of this range, in the green area, and it pretty much is. So that's not the big issue. So let's go to the next page. So this is the bacterial overgrowth with the more like dysbiotic bacteria, and this is where I actually thought it would be positive on Candida. So this is the part where yeast bacteria is shown, and it's totally negative. So no yeast bacteria in the intestines and in the colon. So a little bit of bacterial overgrowth, but I mean, it's okay. It's not a lot, but I have seen worse cases of bacterial overgrowth, but this is a mild bacterial overgrowth. So let's go to the next page. It shows that she actually does have a parasitic infection. It's a blastocystis hominis, and it's pretty high. That could also provoke some low energy and a lot of bowel problems. So that's not good, but blastocystis hominis is actually one of the most common parasitic infections in the world. And a lot of people, I think it's around 80% of all people with blastocystis hominis don't even have any symptoms. So this is not a huge problem, but of course it can be better. So if we look at the rest of the test, so what it shows is that she also has this beta glucuronidase, which is an enzyme. It's produced by the bad bacteria, and what it does is that it kind of blocks the toxins from moving out of your body through your poop. It kind of changes the structure of this toxin, and then the toxins get absorbed into the bloodstream again. So when it's too high, you really want to get it really low. It shouldn't be too high. So, but this one is like, it's very, very high. So this test is actually indicating that there could be problem with something not getting out of the body. So the toxins are like circulating inside of the body and she's not getting rid of them. And that could be really, really bad for her health in general. So that's a good indication. And also the secretory IgA is very low. And this is it's called immunoglobulin, and it measures how much, of an immune system, of if it's working or not. and it's very low in this case. So perhaps it has been an issue for a very long time where the immune system just went, we cannot do anything about this, so we're just gonna shut down and do nothing anymore because we cannot work with this anymore. So this is also not good, but a lot of these immunoglobulin measurements, it can go up and down. So perhaps if she took the test another day, it would be higher. And also zonulin, which is this protein that is made by the gut, it's a bit high, but not too high. And zonulin could indicate two different things. One of the things that it can indicate is that you have a problem with a leaky gut. But another thing that zonulin also can indicate is that it could be an issue of an autoimmune response in the body. Not meaning that it's an autoimmune disease, but just an autoimmune response in the body that can react to something else being wrong in the body. So definitely something is going on, but yeah. So this test is, I thought it was okay to use this test, also because, we found out with the Helicobacter pylori and the Blastocystis hominis, we definitely need to treat. And also the beta glucuronidase, it shouldn't be this high. So let's go further. And this is where the next test comes into the picture. So this is very interesting. So are you ready? Ta-da-da-da, here it is. These are the results of the mycotox profile test. And this poor woman, she not only had one type of mycotoxin inside of her body, but she had two mycotoxins. I really felt sorry for her because, the first mycotoxin is the so-called ochratoxin. So I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, but it's called ochratoxin A, OTA toxin. It's a bit high, but what's really scary is that the other toxin, which is called citrinin, it's extremely high. So this case is an high overload of mucotoxins in the body, creating a lot of problems for this patient. The next page of the report kind of shows what the different types of mucotoxins can do to the body, where they highlighted the two mycotoxins that she has tested positive for. If you look at this list of the symptoms, you can totally match this to this mycotoxin situation. So the citrinin and the OTA, they affect the immunotoxicity. So she was right. She felt that she had low immunity, and of course she had low immunity. Both citrinin and OTA affect her liver, which is not very good, because the liver is very important for the body to kind of get rid of all of the things that are bad, and it's affecting her liver function. Also, the mycotoxins tested are very carcinogenic, and that's of course a problem. So she needs to get rid of these mycotoxins because they can create larger problems for her in the future. And also what I found out is that, this poor woman, she was talking about recurring UTIs, and now it makes a lot of sense because both citrinin and OTA affect the kidneys, and so of course she's gonna have some problems with the kidneys. And I'm no doctor, so I'm not saying that it has directly affected, but there's a match between the symptoms and what this test is telling us. So definitely there's some things there. So a lot of different problems in the body created by mycotoxins. So So if we kind of go further into this test, so this is a list of other mycotoxins that have been tested, which are pretty much negative. The list continues on with other mycotoxins. And if you look at, there are actually 2 other mycotoxins, in this case, being very, very close to out of range. So there has been found 4 mycotoxins, but 2 of them are outside the normal range, whereas one of them is like insanely high. So the list goes on where it kind of individually explains which mycotoxin creates which type of problem, and it gets explained here what the source could be behind this mycotoxin. And I think that it gives a lot of clues to what you should stay away from, the wine that you drink or some other meats and fruits and vegetables, and be mindful of that. But it also explains where could this also come from. Like in the next slide here, it explains that this citrinin usually lives in wood and in drywall and isolation products for houses and buildings, building materials, and which makes really good sense in this case, because this patient has a moldy house, and it's the roof of the house that it's completely covered with mold, and it's creating a lot of problems for the people living inside of the inside the house. My recommendations for this patient, it was a complicated case, I will tell you that, because neither am I a doctor nor am I a mycotoxin specialist. So it was really difficult for me with this case, because what I usually do, I work with people that have it can be a bacterial overgrowth, it can be a dysbiosis, it can be low commensal bacteria, it can be candida overgrowth, a fungal infection, parasitic infection, and we can adjust the diet and make some dietary modifications, and we can use some herbal supplements. But here I really had to kind of be mindful of that this person, her health is really bad, and she cannot do a restricted diet, and she cannot do herbal medication. So, and also I think that sometimes it would also be a great idea to get a second opinion from a medical doctor, to see whether they have some kind of other plan for this patient. But what the problem is really that the mycotoxin area of the healthcare system is really lacking information, and there's not a lot of specialists doing this, treating patients with mycotoxin overload. So it's really a struggle for these patients to find proper help to get rid of these mycotoxins. And also the mycotoxin toxicity, it goes into the lymphatic system in the body and in the bones, and it's really hard to get rid of, because it kind of anchors itself into the body, where it's not easy to get it out and transport it into the urine and into the blood and into the stool. So sometimes it stays there in the body for many years, and it can create problems. So this is a really big issue to get rid of mycotoxins in the body. So I talked to this patient after a couple of weeks. When I presented the results for this patient, she was really, she was sad that she had a mycotoxin situation, but she was also very glad that she found out what was the underlying cause behind all of the health issues that she's been struggling with. She's been in and out out of hospitals, and no doctor or specialist could tell her what was wrong with her. And now she might have some pretty good ideas about what's going on and how she can fix it. So, and she was also very, very sad that she lives in a house where it's not sellable, the house as it is, because it's very moldy. It's also about the financial situation. It's not easy to just move out and change residence. She was nervous, but she also was happy to know what was going on. So she also told me that her asthma has been like really, really bad last couple of weeks, and she mentioned that her lungs had 10% function. So she was down to 10%. So they had to increase the asthma medication so that she can breathe. And she also needed to go on a sick leave from work. And she was very sad about that, but she was very sick. So, and looking forward to kind of start treating this condition. So what we did, I kind of went and did a lot of research on what would be the best recommendation for this patient, having in mind that she can also not do too much at the same time, because that would probably create even more problems and more symptoms in the body. So we kind of need to go slow and, build up and see how it goes. So I recommended like the first 4 to 6 weeks to use this supplement called NAC, which is kind of a mild way to treat toxins and get rid of the toxins from the body. Plus there's this other supplement called calcium D-glucarate, which blocks the beta-glucuronidase, which we discussed earlier in this video, that it was this enzyme kind of blocking the toxins from getting out. It would change the structure of the toxin, which then gets absorbed from the colon and from the intestine inside the bloodstreams and kind of circulates all the time without getting out. So this was also okay to use. And also after 6 weeks from the first round of supplements, she should kind of gradually start supplementing with other mycotoxin binders, like active coal or other types of binders. We kind of discussed a couple of different binders that could be relevant for her. And also we talked about using vitamin B complex supplementation, because this is very important for the methylation process, to kind of get the body to transport the toxins out of the body, and also to support it with electrolyte supplements to also help the methylation process. And I also think that in this case, it would also be good to use some nucleotides supplementation for DNA repair. And why do I think this? Well, nucleotides are actually a part of the DNA process that we need in our bodies to kind of create the new cells and generate new cells in the body. And so the DNA kind of uses nucleotides to kind of produce new cells in the body. So if you are lacking the nucleotides, sometimes it can create problems in the DNA repair, which can create cancer cells that can spread throughout the body. And I also think that because of the mycotoxins are carcinogenic, and nucleotides would help this process, to kind of minimize the chance of the cells not being regenerated in the right way. Also, we talked about, after the mycotoxin binders, after she's done with the supplements, she should try treating the Helicobacter pylori and Blastocystis hominis. naturally with some herbal supplements, but this comes like much later on in the process, because it's really important that she doesn't take too many supplements at the same time. This is something that she needs to do after she is done with the mycotoxin binders. And also, if regarding the dietary changes and options, so my thought was that she should do some restricted diet, but it should not be too restricted. So I'm thinking that the anti-inflammatory diet is it's healthy diet, but it's not too restricted, and she should focus on some foods that are not creating more inflammation in the body. And also she should avoid histamine foods to some extent, and not because she has a histamine intolerance in particular, but because she has a lot of asthma. And I think that the histamine foods could kind of worsen the allergic reaction that she's getting with the asthma. So I think maybe she should consider going for a while like low histamine with the diet. And the last part was that she should work on her lymphatic system. So drainage of the lymphatic system could really help with the mycotoxins. You can do it in a different way with the warm baths, saunas, massage, dry brushing with of the skin to kind of activate the lymphatic system and drain the toxins from the body. And also it kind of sounds a lot silly, but jumping on a trampoline, it actually also helps the lymphatic system. Jumping on a trampoline or just exercise in general. So these are the recommendations that I've made, but the most important thing that you need to do when there's a situation of mycotoxin overload is that you kind of need to move away from the place where the mycotoxin situation is present. And it's not realistic for a lot of people, but if in the sense of what's the best thing to do from a healthcare perspective, then it would be to move out of the house and not take anything with you, throw out the furniture, burn down the clothes that you have, even books on the bookshelves. They can have some of these mycotoxins inside, and when you take your stuff and move it into a new house, so you take your furniture and your clothes and your books and everything, these mycotoxins can actually grow in the next house that you have moved into. So it's very important that you move away from this residence that's creating this problem, but also think about that it's inside, not only inside of the house, but it's inside of your clothes, your furniture, your books, even your body. It gets in everywhere. It's airborne, so it can kind of travel from one place to another, and you can just kind of create a new mycotoxin situation in the new home. This is the best way to kind of get better. It's to move away from the house that is moldy. And I've talked to this patient, and actually I'm having a consultation with this patient in a couple of weeks, and I'm really looking forward. She wrote me and said that she's doing better. She's not where she wants to be, but she's doing better, and that sounds really good. And also she told me that her and her husband have decided to fix the roof and stay inside of the house. But that's not an ideal situation, but that this is what she can afford to do, and what her family can afford to do. So she's doing something about it. It's not perfect, but she's getting rid of the mold, and she has been doing all of these supplements and the dietary changes. And if you would like me to make a follow-up on this case, just put a comment in a section below, and maybe I will do a follow-up on this case and this patient. IBS can be caused by different underlying causes. it pretty much can be caused from the different areas of the body. In this case, it was a case of mycotoxin overload. So as you can see, this has been an IBS case study of a patient that has primarily IBS symptoms, but also other symptoms. And we have used GI map stool test for this case, together with a mycotox profile test. And I will do some more videos with some other case studies. So remember to subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching.